Just pull the one book that you're speccing on, tell us the reason why, and show the book, and let's talk about why you think this book is a good book to spec on, and more importantly, at what price point do you feel like the spec is good? Beyond that price, it's no longer a spec for me. So I'll set it off. The book, and I've mentioned this before, that I spec on is Howard the Duck #1, and this is the first appearance of Gwenpool, and actually she is on the cover right there.
Okay.
Right now, there's a first print and a second print. I happen to have 3 copies of my first print, to kind of show and prove that I do actually believe in the book, that I am speccing on the book. I'm not just saying it because I have one copy. This is only the first 3 I found. I got a stack of slabs, the first and second print, and then a whole bunch of raw ones that I found over time. I would say, if you see the book, whether it's the first or second print, at $20 or less, high grade, $20, cop it. That's my belief in that book, right? Slab, it's on the low right now. So if you could find it at $50 slab, 9.8, get 1 or 2. If you go to the next time you go to a con and you see the book, get it for 20 or get 1 for 50. That's already slab. It's a great deal.
So what initially made you spec on the book, and where do you think what part of the spec you think is going to take the book to higher heights?
Right. So that's a good question. So I remember my daughter and I used to play the Marvel Lego game, and she was one of the hidden characters in the game. So you had to do you had to complete a lot of missions for you to actually have access to play as the character. Along the way, she was one of the characters that in between some of the cutscenes will come in, and she's wacky. Her personality is very wacky. She's very animated, and she would just come in there and ramble a bunch of stuff and then disappear. And my daughter would really gravitated towards that. She was like, "Who's this?" And I was like, "Oh, that's Gwenpool." And she was like, "We got to finish all the missions so we can get her." So I was like, yeah, of course. So we played that, and she was really fun to play as the character as well. Very just entertaining. From a comic book perspective, she's basically the same way. She's animated. She's like Deadpool in the sense that she's crazy, I think, right? But younger, a girl. It's technically Gwen, that's one of my favorite female characters. So she's got a lot going that I personally like. My spec on it, and the reason why I say buy it for 20 or less, is eventually they will do something with this character. I'm not saying television, I'm not saying movie, perhaps, maybe animated, maybe they'll bring her back to an ongoing series or what have you. I just think she's very likable and utilized. So that's my spec on it. And for $20 or under, to me, it's not a big deal. So,
do you have any of the incentives?
The only one that I have, and I have 2 copies of that, is the Deadpool's Secret Wars.
Where she's in the float?
Yeah. So I have 2 copies of that. I remember at one point back in 2018, 19, even 2020, the book was about $200, maybe $300 at some points. You can find it right now for about $180. I would buy that book at $150.
And a 9.8?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's half of the price that it used to be before COVID. So for me, right, as we all know, the COVID doesn't exist, right, for when it comes to investing in comics. So pre-COVID, that was a $300 book. So if you could find it for $150, you already have an idea of what the heights that it was even before the hype of COVID. So the potential for it to go back to that is already set. But this is one of those books that you actually have to believe in order for you to invest in.
So Norwin, listen, you did me a huge favor a couple weeks ago, right?
I did.
So I got a favor. I'm going to return the favor for you.
A word?
I'm going to hook you up. I got one for you.
Yes.
We'll work out the details later. The hip hop variant, ODB, first appearance Gwenpool for you right here.
Good cover.
It's an exclusive, only on Heroes After Dark. So I'm going to tuck this away for you.
I don't have that book.
I can tell.
I got a lot of hip hop covers. I don't have that one.
That's a good
Well,
one.
you got it now. You got it now.
Yes.
You know
So
when
guess
we're
what,
about to
guys?
get
Next
down.
week when I come back and we do another video, I'm gonna have that book in my house.
There you go.
We'll work it out. Bring it on Thursday, man. We'll work something out.
I got you.
All right. So who wants to go next?
I'll shoot. I'll go next.
Okay.
All right. I'm specking on static, man. Anytime I'm out and I see one, I'm yanking it. Right now I got 5. And I think the price point personally for right now, I wouldn't go over 40. You know what I mean? Definitely, you know what I mean? Make sure it's a real good copy and everything. But I think 40 is a good price point. 40, 30. On eBay, you can probably get a little bit lower than that. But personally, it ain't gonna mount to a hill of beans if it's anything less than a 9.6. Let's keep it, 100. But as far as what DC is doing a while back before the whole shakeup with Warner Brothers, after they what is it? The Axe the Batgirl movie, they were planning on making a static movie going straight to HBO Max. But also they got back in touch with Milestone and they're creating a whole essentially like a Dakotaverse almost in a sense. And they're finna like create either a couple of I don't know if it's gonna be series or movies, and I don't know if it's gonna go strictly to HBO Max or Max, whatever they want to call it now, or to the big screen, especially with James Gunn and the other guy taking over. But like there's a lot of legs when it comes to static as well as the whole Dakotaverse. And static is essentially like Miles. You know what I'm saying? As far as that young character that pretty much our age demographic grew up with. Like that was nice. Like that came out in the 90s. I want to say 91, 92, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. I think. I could be wrong, so don't come from my head.
So not to cut you off, but to add on to what you were saying, I remember the reason why I was looking for that book and I actually don't have a copy of it is because Michael B. Jordan was attached to that project. He actually bought the rights to produce Static Shock, and that was back in 2020 when it was first announced. And so at the time I was like, yo, everybody knows he's a comic book guy, he's a manga guy, like he's in the culture. So it made a lot of sense for me.
Yeah.
Like when he said that he was going to bring it to life, I was like, phew, that makes a lot of sense. So just because we haven't heard anything about it in the last couple of years doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
And that's the best. I'm so sorry, and that's the best time to jump on it now because a lot of people it's a double whammy for me. I love Static. It's definitely a character that is 100% PC. And to be totally honest, I'm just getting a bunch of them. So whenever I send them off to Lenny, I'm going to get a guaranteed 9.8. And all the other 9.8s that I get, I can just, you know what I mean, get my money back in the future if that makes any sense. But to be totally honest, you know what they're going to do. And you can even go on HBO Max and see the documentary they did with Milestone. And they're essentially telling you what they want to do with the project. Like that's the reason why, if you look at it right now, they got a whole new Static icon, hardware, and everything. They're trying to pump that back into the ether, you know what I'm saying, to revitalize it, because everybody knows that right now the comic book world is just somewhat of a testing ground to see what they're really going to push out on the big screen. So I would say right now, since everybody, because I don't know if you remember, like a couple of years, especially when I got back into collecting, Milestone started popping off. Like you can get a Static Shock book for like $3. It was a $1 book. You know what I'm saying? When I got back into the game in 2015, and then they got then it started getting big, and that's, it shot up, and then it's all the way, not all the way back down, but it's down now. So that's my spec.
Do you have any of the, because I know there's a collector's edition or something.
I haven't gotten the platinum. I need to get the platinum, but all the rest of them I have.
What are 9.8s going for? Average.
Let me see.
I think that book's actually held its value when it comes to graded. I think the raw ones are the ones that kind of took a dip. Okay. But the graded level, I think it's over $100, which is, let's be honest, in today's era, a 9.8 over $100 of a a book that no one's really chasing after, it's a good return on your investment.
Yeah.
The last one I just saw went for 122.
Oh snap! Look at that right there.
Okay.
So like 120, 122, and that looked like it was an auction.
So there's the platinum right there.
Oh yeah, 510.
510.
Yeah.
Oof.
Wow.
I'm gonna catch one. I missed out on a bid, but yes, that 122 for a normal
Yeah.
one right there. Yeah.
Okay, that's not a bad price.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all, dude. It's a good spec though, man. I respect that spec. Yeah, I wish I had one. I'm gonna have to start working on that. Maybe I'll get one from you or Gerald, because I know you guys got.
Yeah, I'll see what we can do. If not, I could definitely go find something for you, man. Because like I say, I'm hunting for him, man. Every time I see him, I yank him. I talk him down. I'll be like, "Oh man, you want that black character? Hell, that's horrible.
It's terrible, man. You don't want that." All right, cool. All right. Real deal. What do you got, brother?
All right. This was simple for me. Thinking about books I'm specking on. It's been number one on CLZ forever. I got a few copies of these.
Yeah, we go.
X-Men 130. Where's my Swifties at? Taylor Swift. Let's go, baby.
Hit the chat, Swifties.
Oh, he finally came out as a Swiftie. You know that, right?
Yeah, he did. He admitted to it.
That book's been trending number one for forever, for about 4 or 5 weeks now. Taylor Swift's been rumored to be playing Dazzler in the upcoming Deadpool movie. If you can find them, I know they're kind of hot right now, but if you can find them below 200, maybe for Raw, it's a good pickup to get just for longevity on that character, possibly if she plays that role in the movie. So I think it's a good spec. I don't think you're going to lose any money. With that book, it's trending right now. People are buying that. It's hot, super hot right now. So
200 is the height for you, right? 200 raw.
200 raw. Yeah, I wouldn't spend any more than 200 raw.
That's the sweet spot right there.
But that was the price even before, because it's a key, no matter what. I mean, it's an X-Men key.
Yes.
Even before the Swiftie news, it was still about a 150, 185
it's not a cheap
range book. It was never a cheap one. Out of that run where you look at those keys. So 200, I think that's reasonable.
Yep. And then again, I have a 1 raw right now, but anytime I see those books, especially that book right now, I'm buying it.
Instacart.
Miller, have you read that issue?
I have not.
Dude, you know what? Read it. It's not bad.
No, it's a
I know
good read.
people joke about the character, but unless you read the comic for yourself, you shouldn't actually spec on, it's a disco or a performer, blah blah blah, shoots little bright lights. No, it's actually really fun. It's a good read. I believe in the character just based on the actual issue itself. It is a good read. I can't tell you that the following issues that she's in were good, but that particular issue, I found it to be entertaining.
Her cartoon episode was good too. You guys remember back in the day when she showed up in X-Men in the cartoon? It was a really phenomenal episode.
She was in a cameo in one of the movies. There was a cameo with Dazzler in one of the movies.
The last one with the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think they're going to really push X-Men here in the next few years. I think they've kind of been sitting on X-Men. And I think even if Taylor Swift doesn't play Dazzler, I think they're going to use that character in any cartoon animated stuff or live action. So I think that character Dazzler will show up somewhere. So, but if you see that, pick it up.
Yeah, if Taylor does show up in this movie, this could be the highest grossing comic book film of all time.
Yeah,
Bananas.
I mean, it's just
oh my gosh, yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah,
but you've seen Taylor Swift with the director, with all the actors, the major actors at a football game, and you see some pictures online. If you Google it right now, you could see the whole cast. Kind of possibly Taylor Swift is in that mix, so we'll see. So that's why I'm kind of specking on X-Men 130.
It'd be kind of cool if they're like traveling through dimensions or what have you, and they come into one of her concerts, catch in the middle of at the club doing whatever, and then she's like, what the hell, and then they move on. It'll be the best cameo, because think about it, she has a clean personality, and then you're jumping into a R-rated film.
I'm sorry, do you really want Taylor Swift to be Dazzler though?
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
You know what? I'll tell you
it's
why.
the perfect casting, man.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're talking about specking. I think her playing that character, who first of all, she could sing anyway.
Yep.
It would bring some validity to the character itself, but it'll drive the non-comic book people to go see the film, hopefully, which then, just brings the movies back to a good place. Because right now, we're in the fatigue kind of stage right now with the films, right?
Yeah.
So that might actually boost the way people feel about comic book movies. So I see.
Just watching like NFL games, there's a lot of people that have Taylor Swift jerseys and have Swifties on the back of the name tag, and 87. She's dating an NFL guy right now. So, with that spec, more eyes are on the NFL, more merchandise is being purchased because they're Taylor Swift fans. So if she's in a movie, oh my gosh, the number of eyes that would go to the theater just to see her in a theater in a movie would be huge. Yeah. So I think
it's a good spec. It's a good spec. Yeah. Good return on that one.
I mean, I think it's a good spec just off of rip. A, X-Men, B, Dazzler. The only thing that scares me with Taylor Swift is she'll be in one movie and one movie only, and you don't know what her acting chops is versus her being continually going on with this X-Men, because Miller, just like you just said, they're finna bank on this X-Men. Like this X-Men and Fantastic Four run is finna go for, I personally feel like it's gonna go for a decade plus. That's my feeling. But when you put someone like Dazzler in there and then they're projecting her to be in the so-called Deadpool movie, I kind of want Dazzler to be in the full run of the X-Men. You see what I'm saying? Like to put her into the correct timeline. Because if they do that, that book goes up even higher versus it just being a pump and dump. You see what I'm saying? Like if she's in the, like when she comes, like let's say hypothetically, they actually do the X-Men like they did the X-Men cartoons, the Uncanny X-Men. And then instead of just putting Dazzler in the forefront in a Deadpool movie, they put her in when she actually joins, the X-Men in, chronological order. You see what I'm saying? That book would go up and it will go up high. And to actually, like Taylor Swift, let's I don't know about these Swiftie people, but like she's like what? How old is she? 30 something?
30 plus.
Yeah.
She's 30 plus. So that means that she's gonna have to hold that role for a good 6 to 8 years.
Nah, I don't think this cameo, if it happens, I don't think it's going to be I think it's exactly that. It's a cameo. It's a one-time deal, and then they'll go back and find someone else. But the entertainment value will be there.
Yeah, I give you that. I give you that.
Yeah, and I also think that just in terms of when you were explaining about the continuity, that I don't think that's going to do. It's going to be a negative, because if you think about it, let's just look at Punisher. Punisher was in Daredevil. That's not his original appearance. It was in 129 in ASM, which is before he shows up in Daredevil. That has not affected the value of ASM 129. It's still a big book, still a big key. So I think with Dazzler for X-Men collectors is still a key that we all chase after, no matter what. Yeah. So if the Swiftie effect bumps it up, great. Still will be a key. Just like 129 is a key because Kitty Pryde, just like 133, just like 130. I mean, we go down the list. That's still part of that Claremont run where those books, if you're an X-Men fan, that's where you want to read. That's the books that you want to collect.
And it's a dope cover too. It's a dope cover.
Sure. For sure.
It is. And she's on the cover. More importantly, first appearance on the cover, the book itself. There's a reason why that book has not dropped in value much. Pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID. You know what? It's
a fire cover. I can't. I gotta get that.
Strong book, man. Good choice, bro. Yeah.
That's a great spec. That's a great.
All right. Mr. Nilf, let's go, man. Let's see what 9/8 you're hunting for.
All right, this is a lesson. It's spec, but also a lesson. Since we talked a little bit at the very beginning, Red mentioned Star Wars is a trap. So here we go.
What's that?
Dr. Aphra. There you go.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. So let's look at the data.
Just to clarify, I personally don't think Star Wars is a trap. I
Oh,
was
no,
just
no,
saying
no.
that because
No. But let's. I know you don't think, but let's look at the numbers, because this is a book from 2000, 15? 15. All right. So when it came out, not much was happening. When it started really picking up, we got 2020, the high, $505. 2021, $1,275. These are 9.8 prices. 2022 dropped down, $663. Now the low in 2023 for this book, $145. From the high to the low, 88% decrease in value. That's why it's a trap. However, why I believe in this book, the story. If you read this Darth Vader run, it is absolutely incredible. She's an archaeologist. Think Indiana Jones, but in the galaxy. You've got the appearances of the dark droids. Phenomenal read. It checks all the boxes for Star Wars, especially now that they're thinking about going into the High Republic, or anything that predates what happened with Anakin. She would be the one. Female action hero. She would be the female Han Solo. She's not force sensitive, kind of, sort of. That would be it. But if you just look at the numbers, Star Wars historically, except for issue number 1, typical decrease, 60% of value. So if you're gonna cop, get it.
How many copies?
There's a lot of.
Yeah.
I have 2 or 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I got 2 right here. Like when I bought the 9.6, this was at the high, and because the 9.8s were over 1,000, the 9.6s were probably about $400 or $500.
Okay.
And now, who knows what they are now?
There was a lot
So you don't even want to look at the 9.6 prices right now?
Oh no, I don't even care. I mean, because it's a trap. But I totally, now, if you, as a reader, as a lover of Star Wars, and see, that's kind of the dual face, or the duality, is that I love Star Wars books. However, as an investment, it's not always the best. It's not the best bet unless it's Star Wars number 1.
So let me add on to that, right? Because the census, while the CGC census is not 100% accurate, and by the way, no one should ever go by, oh, the census is ... It doesn't. If you bought a 9.4 from somebody and then you cracked it, submitted, you didn't send in that 9.4 and told CGC take that off the census, it adds on to the census, right? So currently the census for that book is 8,071 copies, which out of that 4,438 are 9.8s. So there's at least 4,000 people out there that believe in this book, right? That's not a lot. It's not a high number. But when you look at the amount of Hulk 181s out there, it's pretty competitive. It's
but
competitive
different
in the census.
Yeah, different age, because we're talking bronze to modern, right? And then also different character. This is not Wolverine, by no means. Now, could it be? I mean, she's got her own solo series. It's a good read. There's tons of keys in that series. Again, for spec purposes, I think this checks all the boxes. This is a character that you can easily see in the shows, as well as the Dark Droids. But just in terms of volatility, Star Wars is a trap.
The incentive's the one you want, the 125.
Yeah, but
What
then
are they going for?
That one,
the 125 is 1,000, right? For the 9.8. Yeah.
And then what is the regular cover? 9.8s. Now
9.8 regular cover now. The low was 140.
Okay.
It's under $300. The highest I ever saw it was at 300. I recall back when I was searching for that book, 9.8 graded already. Yeah. And I bought 2 raw ones, got them slab. They both hit 9.6s. I'm taking a hit on that right now if I was to sell them.
Yeah, last 9.8, $216.
Okay.
But look, the incentive is doing well. Very strong.
The incentive only in a 9.8 or a 9.6.
Right.
Do not do 9.4. I think the 9.4, the value on that incentive is $350. It doesn't move.
Yes, it is a trap. You can take it to a show and try to flip it. You'll end up going for about four or 5 shows, and then you'll find the one Star Wars person that appreciates the book. So there you go.
Yep, but good read. excellent read. I cannot highly recommend. If you read this volume of Vader, incredible story.
So yeah, I believe that Miles Morales, he's definitely going to be the Spider-Man of the future. There are a lot of people who try to disagree, but I mean, everybody knows he's going to be the Spider-Man of the future. They're slowly starting to flesh out his rogues gallery. This is a recent book, came out a couple weeks ago, and it's another one of his villains. You guys saw this. I showed these when I picked them up, but it's this is not the first appearance of Hightail, but it is her first cover appearance. I definitely believe in this character just because she is she's a female speedster.
What issue is that?
That's the latest one.
This is number 10.
Number 10. Okay.
So this was her first cover, and then the incentive was a design variant.
Oh, cool.
So,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
but I definitely.
Got a stack of those, buddy. Share the wealth.
Dare I ask how many you have?
Well, I have.
Ask, what are we looking at here, bro?
This man is OD right now.
Yeah,
That's the one in 10 or the one in 25?
This is a one. There was only a 1 in 10. This is a 1 in 10.
Six of
Or no,
those.
there might have been a 125, and I got one that's going to CGC too, so I got a bunch of these. But yeah, I
Just one?
definitely. Yeah, for now. And the good thing about this book, you can still buy it for cover price. Even the 1 in 10, you can still get for $10, or cheaper some places. So I pick them up if I see them.
And where can you buy them at?
Comic book stores if you can find them.
Just your local LCS.
Yeah, you can find it on eBay too. The cover A's on eBay for like $4. The 1 in 10's on eBay for like $10. But yeah,
Have you read the issue, Brian?
Yeah. She actually is working for I forget the name of the
Don't
lady.
ruin it.
Oh, okay.
Is it a good read? Like, does she add value to the storyline, or is it like a throwaway character? Like,
No, she's tailing him, and yeah, she's kind of like an anti-villain or like an anti-hero. So I think she could be a big character later on, maybe even a love interest down the road for Miles. You never know. So I'm picking him up.
Brad, what do you have, man? What do you got for us?
Well, I am coming to preach the gospel of the Blue Marvel.
There we go.
Adam the Blue Marvel.
Excellent.
Great book.
I picked this book up not because of spec initially. It was just because it was an awesome read. As a black character, the story really resonated with me. And anytime you can find a character and the legend, no pun intended, is growing word of mouth, then that's a book you want to have. On the spec side of things, there's rumors that he may show up in the Marvels.
Oh, that would suck.
We'll see. We will see. I'm going to say this. There's not a lot of these books. It's not a lot on Adam Brashear. So he still has a great mystique about him as an overall character. And he still has a lot of room for growth. If you look here, on the issue number 1, it says 1 in 6.
Okay.
That 6th issue never made it to print. So there's actually only 5 issues in that limited series.
All right.
When did that series come out?
In 2008, I believe. 8 or 9.
Yeah, it's a hard book to find.
Because I've never seen that book.
Yeah.
So.
It is.
It's one of those books that you definitely want to pick up if you see it.
Okay.
Any condition. Because it's just seeing it, right? For that particular copy, it's not going to get graded because I have a 9.8 already in the number 1. But it's a great book to pick up. Everything about Blue Marvel, book-wise, print-wise, is expensive. For instance, the trade paperback is $200. Easy.
Wow.
You're not getting one for no less than $175, $200. I think it's, again, great character, amazing story. A lot to build upon. And then I don't know if a lot of people read the Ultimates run with Adam Brashear in it as well, but that was amazing. And again, it leaves room for opportunity for the MCU to add him in. But even if he's not in the MCU, even if he doesn't show up with the show, just the book alone in the ethos of comic book collecting, you want those 5 issues in your PC. Yeah. You cannot go wrong with them. You cannot go wrong with them. It's super limited series, super amazing hero, great story. Wow. As you see, all 5 issues in a 9.8 went for $2,100.
The title is Adam Legend.
Adam Legend of the Blue Marvel.
Okay,
you got to get that Marvel app if you don't have it.
Yep,
and read the series. That's how I read it. I don't own the books at all because they are hard to find. And yes, you can find it on the internet, but I've always wanted to find it in the wild.
I haven't seen it in the wild at any show.
Amazing read, man. Amazing.
Yeah, you did.
You're strong.
Where? Oh yeah. Well, one person we saw a picture of it in the wild.
No. You saw it at the land.
No, at the land.
You saw it at the land. Yeah, you did.
The other guys saw it. We slept.
Oh, that's right.
You did. Yep.
There were
did see
at least 2 copies. Yeah, there were 2 copies.
Yeah.
And one of the heroes, Mike, salute to for him. He did pick up that copy.
You snagged it?
Yeah, he told me I sold him on it. And he snagged it at a great price for issue number 1. You definitely want a 1, and if you can get your hands on a number 5, just because it's the last, you know, with the last is always low print. It's the inner story. It's a phenomenal story.
Wow.
I mean, the Raw is going for 192.
Yeah, 200 Raw
book.
Hey man, I hope you're wrong about it being in the movie theater because I already have one, but I'm trying to like get as many as I possibly can. And the minute his black behind show up in that Marvel's movie,
it's gonna explode.
It's gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
Well, one of 2 things is going to happen. Let's be honest. I don't have high hopes for this movie. So, you're guilty by association. That's my perspective on the film. He shows up, I think it's going to negatively impact the series, even though he has nothing to do with. That's the problem is he has nothing to do with
the Marvels.
Yeah.
Anyone
familiarity. People aren't going to know him.
The thing is, I thought he was going to show up in WandaVision because Monica mentions she has a friend who's a physicist, and I thought for sure she was going to talk about Adam Brashear. So him showing up in Marvels would make sense because
maybe,
but will it ruin his appearance, or he could be a complete badass and completely,
still
it's hard to say.
Or maybe he comes in the part 2 of WandaVision, right? Maybe. I do have the complete set, so I don't just have issue 1. I have issue number 2, issue number 3. I have 4, and I have issue number 5 as well. Namor is also in this. You gotta read it. It's a phenomenal read. You really gotta read it. You gotta read it.
Does issue 5 end with a cliffhanger as if number 6 was going to come out, or did they just end it at 5?
So issue 5 ended to where there's room for an issue 6 and all of those things. I don't want to ruin the story unless you guys want me to tell you a little bit about it. Okay, I won't ruin the story, but I'll just say issue 5 leaves room. The writer of the story, Kevin Grievous, he's no longer with Marvel, so he doesn't write for Marvel. He said that he quote, he gave up the IP for that idea. He said he gave up the IP for that idea. Also, he said that he had 100 copies of the Blue Marvel in his garage flooded and ruined all the copies.
That's terrible.
He said he went and bought every copy he could find on eBay to replace them. So he said if there's a shortage, he said I 100% take ownership for that shortage because I bought all the copies I could off of eBay.
He's the reason that book spiked.
Wow.
And he says that. Yes, he said that in an interview. Correct. And I mean, again, I love T'Challa. I love Miles. But when you get Blue Marvel and you get into his story, he's a physicist. He was a former football player at an Ivy League school. Like, just super dope, man. Intelligent.
His powers are insane. That
Yeah.
His powers
Yeah.
is beyond insane, dude. He's
Yeah.
OP. He's like the definition of OP.
by
That's
far.
just my spec
Yeah.
book. It's emotional. I'm not getting those copies graded because they're staying in a PC. I don't want to be tempted to be looking at a 9.8 and then I see they're going for a certain price. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
But that's
They
why you
don't
got.
get
That's
like that sometimes.
So real quick, Brad, at what price point would you consider? And I know like this is the kind of book, because of so far of all the books that we talked about, this would be the harder to find out of all the books. So with that being said, it is a collectible for you though. At what price point and grade, raw, would you say, okay, this is a good price?
9698. As far as price point, I seen somebody get a 9.6 raw for about 140, 160 cash, but you know how it is when you're working those deals. So it's around 140, 160 cash. A complete set of that is going from anywhere from $600 to $1,000 for a raw copy of the 5 issues, just depending on who you're talking to and what kind of deal you're working out. But if you're a true collector, read the story first. I guarantee the story is going to compel you to buy in and make sure you have it in your PC. It's a must for the PC.
What you're saying is actually true. Like, okay, I know I said $20, right? I could completely see why a lot of people would be like, man, that's a pass. It's a pass for me. At $20, I could do something else with that. Go get me a lunch, right? So I can see where my book kind of falls in this like spec discussion that we're having, right? I still think at $20 is a good investment. But if you happen to be at a show or wherever you are and you saw that book and you happen to see the Blue Marvel, forget about my book, buy that book 100% of the time.
Yeah.
For real. Just get my book, get that one, put it on layaway, do what you got to do. Make sure you get that book at the end, because again, go to all the comic shops close to you, and I'm pretty sure you're not going to find that book.
No.
And as much as I like all the other books that everybody brought up, I'm a fan of Dr. Afra. I like that book, but as soon as he brought his book, I'm like, yeah, that's the winner for the night. So like, which out of all these books am I chasing now? It's going to be that.
And one thing that Woodley brought up is that what's phenomenal about it, get into the story, man, because the story makes you feel so damn good about your investment, not just having it. If you're there and you just want to have it to say you got it, cool. But if the story resonates with you, even if it does tank, you're like, yo, I love this story, right? It may not be worth nothing. I fucking love the story. And at some point, comic book collectors, intelligent ones, are going to come back, revisit it, and it's going to do the work all on its own.
Yep, stories reign supreme.
And if you like that one, go read Ultimates right after it, because Ultimates is amazing.
It's some good. Don't get me wrong. A lot of the older books are bigger key issues. Storytelling wise, it's a lot of good storytelling have been told. Like, I tell you something really quickly, not to ruin Blue Marvel, but the writer said that he was going to have Blue Marvel reinstated by President Obama around the time Obama had got elected into office. That was the plan for issue number 6.
Oh, man, that would have been awesome.
That would have been a monumental issue. I'm glad it didn't, because then it probably would have been sky high. So yeah, check it out, Blue Marvel. Adam, the Legend of Blue Marvel.
Now you know you have to go read issue number 1 so you can get what he was saying.
You gotta. There's a reason why that means something in that.
Real
book.
quick, if you guys don't mind, can you hold up the books that you guys are all recommending? I know some of us have more than one copy. Just bring up the one. And you know what, man, this is what we are recommending for this week's books to invest in. A lot of good books. Personally, not a dud in the entire thing. That's my opinion. All good books. All right. So with that being said, Willie, my brother.
All right. So there you have it. You heard the spec, you heard the details as to why, whether it's rarity, whether it's great stories, or whether, well, the common denominator is great stories. If you're on the lookout, if you're at the LCS, you got to pick it up. There's too many good books that are there. Shout out to the Swifties. Please don't light us up in the comments because we don't know who you are. But anyways, be on the lookout. Spec, but don't spec to the point where you think you're gonna just, you bet the farm, because that doesn't always work. But buy what you love. Find the books that are rare, hard to find, books that are moving, and by all means, please check the data. Once again, hit those comments, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you connect with us. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And on that note, we say peace.